What's going on, guys? Forrest here, CyclicMan09, and I think it's about time that we go through the story of how I got Hulk. This is an amazing story of me collecting him from the wild myself. 100% true. 100% true. Any of you doubters out there, you might be right. But we're going to tell you the story anyways, and it's a pretty intense story. So buckle up your seatbelts, strap in your helmets, and then unstrap your helmet and unbuckle your seatbelt, because you're probably just sitting behind a computer screen right now without any true imminent danger. Now, if you're watching this video while driving a NASCAR or bungee jumping, harness and helmet are probably necessary, just strictly due to the fact of what you're doing. But the actual story itself will not harm you in any way, hopefully. So, it all begins on a winter's morning in here. And so it was winter, and I was thinking, I was like, I really would like a new fish, but I don't want a fish that I have. It has to be new. So I was like, where do you go to get Central American cichlids? Not Africa. You go to Central America. So I booked a flight all the way down to Honduras. That's where Hoga Boom Worms are from. First things first, this airline was not professional. I'm pretty sure that the guy, his name was, what was this guy's name? Forgot the guy's name, whatever. Pretty sure he actually like built the airplane himself. It was some sort of a Cessna thing. Here's the kicker right here. The flight all the way down there and back, two ways, was only $60. So, it was a pretty good deal for myself. At least I thought it was. And then we took off from a local airport, right down the street and up a hill, down a stream. Yes, you literally have to take a canoe to this guy's airport, because I'm pretty sure he doesn't have his pilot's license and he might be flying illegally, which might be a reason why. Looking back at this probably wasn't the best decision. So we take off in this rickety old plane, and basically what ends up happening is his airstrip is directly behind and hidden from an actual airport, and so what his plane does is it takes off and then slowly lands on top of another plane going in the general direction in which he wants to go. So he basically just hitchhikes a ride on top of this other plane. So we go there, fly all the way, cross the border, end up in Honduras. Now, this landing strip was about this wide and had potholes in it the size of my face and bigger. They're big. They're huge potholes. So we go to land this plane. First things first, boom, hit a pothole. Landing gear tears off. Plane takes a right, lands in a lake. Pretty intense stuff, right? So as soon as we splash in that lake, there's just, and we're just floating there, floating there, floating there. And then I see my pilot get snatched up by a 32-foot anaconda. Just comes into the plane, boom, takes him, and is gone. So I'm left in this plane all by myself with all this fishing gear that I stole from a dead pilot, because he's providing all this stuff, kind of like a guide trip. And so I'm in there, I'm strapped in. The plane, of course, is sinking like a rock, because I'm pretty sure he used a lot of lead paint on this thing. Planes are designed to float. If you didn't know that, planes are designed to float. And this thing was just straight to the bottom of this ginormous lake, and sinking. So I find the dive knife, and I cut the seatbelt off, and I cut free. And then I realize, forgot my keys. And then for a second I was like, hold on a second. Why the heck would you need your keys? So I swim out the window, I grab the fishing gear, and I swim to the top like this. No, can't remember. Maybe like that. So I'm swimming. Finally, I can breathe again. We make it to the top, and what happens when we get to the top of the water? I pop up, and there's a lily pad on my head, and directly to my left is the anaconda on the bank with the pilot. Only his legs are sticking out of the anaconda's mouth. So this anaconda is just like, he looks over at me, and he sees me, and I can see him start regurgitating the pilot, and it was a scary situation. Basically what was happening is he was spitting him out to eat me, because he was already dead. That's a free meal for later. So what he can do is kill me and then eat us both. So what do I gotta do? I take the fishing pole that I stole from the sinking plane, and the anaconda spits out the pilot, spits him out, and I just sit there waiting. I'm sitting there waiting. And you know, the lily pad on my head, so I just duck back down just enough so I can see above the water. It's pretty cool stuff. And so what I do is I take that fishing rod, again, anaconda swimming at me, swimming at me, swimming at me. Basically, you know, like that scenario when you're in the Arctic and a polar bear's coming at you and there's like a spear behind you and you just move and it jumps on the spear. That's what I did. I was sitting there, anaconda's coming down at me, coming down at me. This is getting my adrenaline pumping just thinking about it. Reliving the experience. So what we're doing. Anaconda comes, and then he opens his mouth to come at me like this. What do? I take that fishing rod, and I just impale him right through the back of the throat. Fishing rod comes out through the back of the anaconda's neck, flips over and dies, and then I swim to the bank, and as soon as I swim to the bank, the anaconda, you know, still sitting there. The first thing that happens, big giant caiman eats the entire anaconda in one bite. Little did I know, this caiman was 10 feet away from me the entire time. Luckily, we made it out okay. So we're on the side of the bank, got all my equipment, assessing the situation, checking out my fishing gear. Luckily, we had a waterproof map and you know, a whole bunch of survival stuff. Basically, I was ready to go. Tent. Don't know how I swam with all this stuff, but you know, it's just one of those situations. You know, woman lifting a car for a baby. You know, I was able to just swim with literally 1,000 pounds of gear. It's a pretty impressive feat. Sometimes I think about it, like, did that ever really happen? And I'm like, maybe it was just a dream. Maybe he just made it up in the video once. But so I got all my gear, I assessed my situation. So first thing I got to do, I was like, hey, we're here to catch a fish. I'll find another flight back home eventually. The pilot, I don't even know his name, so nobody's probably going to remember him. Pretty sure he's an outlaw. So first thing I do is I find my first local, and I'm like, hey, where are the fish? Where are the fish? And he's like, what? I don't speak English. And I'm like, crap. So, fish. And he's like, standing right next to a river. Luckily, what this guy was doing, he was actually fishing right there. I didn't realize as I was talking to him that, you know, I was asking him where the fish were, and he was like, reeling in fish right there. I must have been pretty delirious. I think there was some alcohol that got loose in the plane, maybe some fumes of the gasoline, and just the sheer adrenaline power that was rushing through my veins. I was just in a haze. And so as soon as I realized that what's going on, boom, I pass out on the side of the river. And it's the last thing I remember. Until 4 days later, I wake up in a hut. This weird smelling smoke everywhere. With this weird crazy guy just like staring at me. He's just looking at me. I don't know what's going on. And I was like, whoa, what just happened? And he's like, you've been asleep for 4 days. And I was like, thank God, somebody who speaks English. Flawless English. It was amazing. He's like, you've been asleep for 4 days. You passed out, hit your head on a rock, had a contusion. Everything looks fine now. I put some of this paste on it. The swelling has gone down. I noticed in your backpack, you got a notebook that says looking for fish. And so, little to be known that this guy was an expert fisherman for the last 50 years of his 20-year life. It's just amazing. Just strike of luck, you know, like a knock on the head, honestly. And so I was like, yeah, look, I'm looking for this one fish to take home. Really want something, you know, just gonna pop. Gonna be an awesome fish. And you know, and he's like, you know what? I know the exact place to go, but it takes 3 months to get there. And I was like, you know what? My pilot's dead. I got plenty of time. So we start our 3-month trek through the wilderness. Trekking, sleep at night, mosquitoes everywhere. My face looked like this from the mosquito bites. It was just a terrible situation. sleeping on the ground. It rained every single day. I got bit by 14 vipers, had to be airlifted 32 times to 12 different hospitals, and lo and behold, at the end of my last hospital visit, I was just like, can you just take me to the nearest lake, because I came here to catch a fish, and I'm literally like dying in the process of doing this. Why can't I just catch a gosh dang fish? I landed in a lake, for God's sakes. I don't know why when I landed and passed out, they didn't just be like, hey, you were at a lake, catch the fish here. And so they take me to this lake called River Lake. It's called River Lake. I don't know why it's called River Lake. Maybe it's supposed to be a lake. Maybe it ends up being a river. I don't know, but it's called River Lake. Now, at River Lake, there's this little village of fishermen with a wealth of experience, a wealth of knowledge. Every single one of those guys wanted me dead. I'm going to be honest with you. I had to build a tree house on the outskirts of town with like an observation tower so that I could see them coming, and then when they came, I just closed the blinds and they wouldn't even see that I was there. And what I would do is I would just watch them catch fish all day long and observe their techniques. And I did this for 3 years, taking notes and observing their techniques, until one day the entire village decided to leave. I don't know why. Maybe there was a sale at Walmart. But they decided to leave, go to Walmart. I think there was a sale on half-off fishing supplies. Not sure what was going on. So I decided to climb down from the tree, climbing down. Now I'm on the ground. Okay. So I'm on the ground, got all my fishing gear. Cannot believe it's lasted this long. So I go over to the lake, take my fishing gear, and then I realize this lake's empty. The lake had dried up completely. I took so long to decide to get down from that tree that lake had completely dried up. River Lake was gone. So, another 14-mile trek down the river. It's now just a riverbed. And River Lake actually just turns into a lake. So River Lake turns into a lake. It goes from a river to a lake. No, this is confusing. Get used to it. So, I stop at the lake. Set up my tent, set up my camp, ready to fish. So, get there that night, start a fire, I'll relax, go to sleep, and I just dream of fish in my happy dreams. And in the middle of that night, I had an epiphany. And I was like, you've been gone for like 6 months now, and you still have not caught a fish. You cannot leave here without your dream fish. So in the morning, I got up and I was ready to go. Got my pot at Starbucks, and what was it? I don't remember what it was, but it was delicious. Did you guys know that there's a Starbucks in the rainforest? Pretty cool stuff. Starbucks, you're doing something right. Because there's like Starbucks everywhere. Every trail, every turn, there's a Starbucks. So everywhere I had a little bit of Starbucks. It was delicious. So I got up, found the right area, found a nice fallen limb in the water where the fish like to hide. And so I got my fishing gear, and then I was like, you know what? When I watched the locals fish, they didn't use any fishing gear. They just went out there and then like grabbed them like crazy ninja people. It was awesome. So what I did is I was like, screw the fishing gear. I actually threw it on the fire and burned it, which I immediately regretted due to the sheer difficulty of how they were catching their fish. It took me 3 straight days, 12 hours in the water, just to catch one fish. Luckily. So I'm under this branch, underwater. Again, anaconda swims by. Didn't even see me, thank God. Don't want to get me started on anacondas. So, sitting there, and this little bitty fish, probably a little bitty fish, swims by. I just swim it, and I just grab it. And I surface. And I look in my hands, and there it is. The perfect little baby fish. And I said to him, I will call you Hulk. And so I had waterproof pockets at the time, so I just took some lake water and put the fish in my pocket. And made the trek all the way back to the largest city in Honduras. I don't remember what it was because I was drunk the entire time. Got on a plane, hitched it all the way back home. As soon as I got home, realized that all my fish were dead, and I had to restart the hobby, but I had the perfect fish to restart my hobby with. His name was Hulk. 2 years later, There he is. That was my journey to get Hulk. Hopefully you guys believed it. If not, you're probably smart. Thanks for joining me. See you guys next time.